stress this week that we have a real life story. We're going to invite up Denise. Denise has very kindly offered to come and share her story. But Denise is going to share how, when she was going through something really, really difficult, how did she abide? How did she stick at it? How did she hold on to her faith? And we're going to go through that now. So thank you, Denise. You can have a wee seat. Okay, and I'm just going to stand up for a wee second. So if we put up the next slide, I'd like you all to meet Denise and her amazing daughter, Stacey. So this is Stacey here, beautiful girl. We're going to hear more about her in a wee minute, but I just want to jump through some photographs here that Denise sent us. Look at this smile. Stacey at school, loved to learn, loved to do everything that she had. Just a little girl, a princess, just like any little girl wants to dress up. I think she's assumed she's at some sort of family occasion here, celebrating the joy of a wedding. We've got our Aunt Anna. Yep, and she's actually ice skating here. So she's doing the things a girl loves, ice skating. We've got a few more things that she likes. This is her part of a dance group and a dance team, and they're doing it to a song in her church, and she was front and center and enjoying every moment. Baking. Most girls wouldn't be a girl without baking buns. Loved to bake. Winning at school because she was a champion. And I think with one more. Celebrating her birthday. And if you notice in every single one of them photos, Stacey has the smile of an angel. And Denise, we need a wee microphone. Sorry, guys. Let me just check so you can hold that. So Denise is going to share a bit more story in a better way than I did of your beautiful daughter, Stacey. So can you share a wee bit about her life?
Yep, absolutely.
And how she...
Stacey was a miracle from the beginning. She came into this world incredibly quickly. She was not waiting 20 minutes, start to finish. Stacey was here. But when Stacey was born, she wasn't breathing. And they worked on her for 55 minutes before they got a heartbeat. So they expected that she would have some kind of deficit, learning deficit. She was also born with spina bifida, which meant that her legs were weak. Her bladder, her bowel didn't work. And part of that was also a condition called hydrocephalus, which is fluid in the brain. So Stacey had her first surgery at 2 days old on her spine. And then 2 weeks later, had another surgery on her brain to put a shunt in. And I suppose our life changed dramatically, really. But she very quickly became the center of our worlds. It was actually through Stacey, as she started to grow, we realized that there was no deficit at all. In fact, she was quite the opposite. Yeah. She was so bright, so clever. She used to help her older brother, he's 5 years older than her, with his homework because he couldn't do it. And when Stacey got to age 6, she met with Jesus. And I wasn't a Christian. None of our family were Christians. So I had to start going to church with her, whether I wanted to or not. And on a daily basis, I heard, you need to get right with God, Mum. You need to get right with God. She would tell it to everybody in the family. And a year later, I became a Christian through Stacey. So yeah, just an amazing kid. Yep. Hospital became a second home, really, for us. By the time that Stacey got to 15, she had had 39 surgeries. On her brain, on her spine. She had to have her small bowel removed. She had to have metalwork put in her spine, feet, hips, you name it. Yeah. She'd had surgeries, and she always just bounced through them. 2 days after brain surgery, she was home, back up in her wheelchair, flying, So, yeah, she was just amazing.
So in that journey of your child's illness, how did you cope through that period? period of time?
Oh, wow.
Don't take a drink of water.
No, it's okay. Well, straight off, I was just so grateful that she was alive.
Yeah.
That was really the thing that was paramount for me. When we got her back, when they revived her, I was then put in, she went to special baby care, but I was put into this little side room so that I didn't upset the other mums because my child wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
And every nurse that came on shift, their first words were, "I'm really sorry about your baby." And I was so mad because I was like, this baby's alive. Come in here and congratulate me.
Yeah.
You know, but they didn't. And I suppose from that point, I became her biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
And I'm not somebody that likes to be upfront. Like, this is way out of my comfort zone. I'm not a leader, I'm a blender. I like to blend into the background. But I suddenly found this strength within me to fight for what I felt she needed. And it was tough. I mean, you can through all of those surgeries were tough, you know. People's prejudices, especially, were tough. You know, adults were the worst, to be fair, because kids would come up to Stacey and say, "What's wrong with your legs? You know, why are you in that chair?" Where adults would just stare and keep staring, you know. In fact, there was one, I'll tell you this really short story. There was once we were walking through Conswater Shopping Centre, and Stacey had surgery on both her legs, so both her legs were in casts, but she was whizzing herself down through the shopping centre, smiling, and this lady stared, and she looked Stacey up and down, and she looked at her legs, and she looked at me like I had broken her legs. And Stacey seen her, and she watched her back, and this lady almost walked into a shop front because she stared so much. And my Stacey's response was, "Excuse me, would you like to come and sit in my wheelchair and see what it's like?" You know, and went on. Very strong, you know, very, very strong. She was, if there was anybody in our church who perhaps broke their leg or were working through something, Stacey was the one that would get next to them and encourage them. Stacey was the one in church who would get out of her wheelchair, get on her knees with her hands raised in the air to Jesus. She had such a grip on who this Jesus was. I've never known, and yet have never known anybody with that strength and depth of faith. And that's what helped, I suppose, when I met with Jesus. The struggle became different, you know, because then we could take those things to Jesus and know that he'd got her. You know, whatever that looked like, he got her.
Yeah, so Stacey's health kind of deteriorates, and we've got some pictures here Denise had sent us through. We've got another 3. So Denise is going to chat us through these.
Yeah, so I'm shaking. So.
You're all right.
This one, she'd been bedridden for about a year at this point. Stacey had spinal surgery, and from the spinal surgery, she could never sit back up in her wheelchair. We couldn't figure out what was going on. And then through that, she had to have bowel surgery, which just, she didn't recover. And it was the first time that we'd ever had that experience because Stacey always bounced back. And after a lot of tests, it was discovered that Stacey had developed a condition called Chiari malformation, which is where part of your brain stem pushes out onto your spinal cord. And what that does is slowly shut down all of your body function. So I was told that Stacey was going to die. They didn't know how long she had left, but she was going to die. And then I made the decision to tell Stacey, not the doctors, because I'd always been really honest with her. So I told Stacey that she was going to die, and Stacey's response was, "Okay, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die my way. I want out of the hospital. I don't want my hospital room or my bedroom to be like a hospital room." we'll do it my way. And she specifically asked Jesus for very specific. So this was just before her 15th birthday when I had to tell her. And she said, I want to last Christmas. I want to make it to my 16th birthday because I want to have a sweet 16. And then very quickly after we'd found out that Stacey was going to die, my brother and sister-in-law, who had been together for 20 years and didn't think that they could have kids, fell pregnant. And Stacey said, I want to see the baby born. So this photo is, she'd been in bed for a year. This was her 16th birthday that she got to in bed, and she had all of her friends in. Then we had to have nurses coming in to manage her pain. She was on a syringe driver at this stage, and it was the only thing that she would allow in. But to get her up to sit up at that angle took us about 5 hours that morning of her birthday, because at every incline of her head, the pain is so severe that she would pass out. But she never stopped. She still pushed through. And if you look at that, you would never know that that's literally 5 weeks before she died. And she got the Christmas. She got to see the baby born, and she named her. She named her Leah. She wanted her to have a biblical name. And they called her Leah Stacey. And then she got her sweet 16. And that's what this is, her sweet 16. And you can see when you look at that photo from the other photos that she's ill. I don't think in reality that I realized, although I knew that she was going to die, that was never my focus. My focus was on just doing what Stacey needed. While she was bedridden and desperately ill and on diamorphine, honestly, all sorts of medication, she would sit with her Bible, her notebook, and her laptop. And she led a young girl that she knew to the Lord through the computer while she's in bed dying. You know, when I told my brother that Stacey was going to die, he said to me, how can you go into that bedroom and look at that child and tell me there's a God? And I said, how can you go into that bedroom, look at that child, and tell me there's not? You know, she was the one that was sitting there dying and professing God and trusting God, and had the footboard of her bed covered in her favourite scriptures, constantly worship music playing over her. So yeah, that's what these photos are, is, you know, her gradually going downhill. And once she got the sweet 16 over, it was almost like she said, okay, I've done everything. And she really deteriorated, and she went to be with Jesus 5 weeks exactly after her sweet 16. But she got every single detail that she had asked for in her death. She wanted it just to be David and I with her. She didn't want the nurses in the room. She had asked me to play very specific worship songs over her while she was dying. And she got that. My house that morning was filled with nurses, absolutely rammed. I had phoned and got my brother and my sister-in-law over. A neighbour, a good friend of mine, was in. Our house was filled. And suddenly, things started to change with Stacey, and the nurses all went outside for a conflab. My neighbour decided to go over and check on her daughter. I had asked my brother and sister-in-law to go round the corner and explain, and who was disabled and couldn't get round, what was going on. Everybody left, and there was Stacey and I and just the children's hospice nurse who had helped us at home with her. And David and I get into the bed with her, which is what she wanted. And we get into the bed, she took her last breath. And God was so faithful, so faithful. He gave her every single detail that she wanted.
Yeah, so Stacey was a real inspiration. I'm sure you can hear that.
Well, yeah, I mean, she arranged her own funeral, every detail of it, and left me with a notebook. She made me sit with a notebook and document everything that she wanted. So it was made easy. I had nothing to do.
Yeah.
afterwards whatsoever, you know. I mean, there's adults that wouldn't face death like that, but she had such an assurance. At the beginning of her illness, she used to say, "Mum, I'm not afraid of death because I know where I'm going,
Yeah.
but I'm afraid of the dying process." And when we had to get the kids' hospice involved with us to manage her pain at home, they had used all of their resources and still couldn't get her pain under control. So they asked the adult hospice for advice, and the head professor from the adult hospice agreed to come out one Thursday night just to meet Stacey and try and advise. And he never left. He fell in love with my child, as she did with him. And he turned out to be a beautiful Christian man who every Thursday night sat with her bedside and prayed with her and prayed with me. I mean, where do you get that? God was right over it all,
Yeah. And it says in Romans 15:13, if we put up the middle scripture, it says, "Now may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace, in believing that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." And the next one is Jude 1:24 says, "Now to him who's able to keep you from stumbling and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy." And just at this moment, Stacey was full with exceeding joy. Where I'm talking about the levels that your joy may be full, that she went through right to that moment, abiding in God's word. Denise could tell you hours of stories, how the songs she listened to, the words that she heard, the things that she kept herself close and stuck to the one that she was going to meet. So then, when we get to that point, that's Stacey, but we move into where we're talking about like the joy of the Lord being our strength. What a journey, an incredible journey. And Denise will probably not be able to go into all of this now, but if you could just give us a bit of how, after that happened, of the strength that you found, the faith that helped you navigate this grief, and how you got through that joy or that journey.
I'd like to say that I did it in grace and with joy, but initially I didn't.
No.
I mean, my world was ripped apart.
Yeah.
Stacey and I were never apart for the 16 years of our life. We were always together. And I was so mad, as well as sad and devastated, but I was so angry with God.
Yeah.
And it took me 3 years, I'm going to be honest,
Yep.
before I started to get myself out of it. But in those 3 years, I would scream at God. In my world, I thought, if you just tell me why you took her, then it'll make things better. So for a long, long time, I asked why. Just tell me why. And he didn't tell me why. But what he did say was, I can tell you why, but is it going to make your pain any less? And I thought it's not, because she's still not here.
Mm-hmm.
And through that came almost like an understanding of, when I stopped asking, then I started to remember Stacey's life better and what she had achieved and the impact that she had had on people. And then I had an encounter where I was up at Stacey's grave, and the headstones on either side of Stacey's grave are somebody in their 80s and somebody in their 90s. And again, I'm screaming, God, why did they get 80 years? Why did they get 90? And my baby only got 16. And I suddenly had this, Denise, turn around. And as I turned around, there was a new grave, and it was a little baby who was stillborn. And I suddenly thought, is that mommy pointing at my Stacey's grave going, why did they get 16 years? And I suddenly remembered that I had so much to be grateful for. It's never, 16 years is never going to be enough. And I can't sit here and tell you that God's right, that he took her.
Yeah.
But I am so grateful that I know where she is. And people say to me, how long is it from you lost Stacey? And my response is always the same, I haven't lost Stacey.
Yep.
I know exactly where Stacey is. And how can I not love Jesus when he has my baby.
Yeah.
You know, and it's everything I do now. Worship music was such a big part of our lives, Stacey's especially, and it's still a huge part of mine. And there's sometimes, you know, when you're walking through, you know, life's difficulties, that my arms, because my world isn't okay at the minute.
Yeah.
And actually, when you force yourself through and you lift
Yeah.
your arms, you know, there's power in that praise, you know, and that for me is now how I cope. We're now almost hitting 13 years from Stacey's gone to Jesus. And I'm not sitting here telling you that I don't still grieve or that I'm not sad. But joy in God is very different from just being happy.
Yep.
You know, happiness is like, it's an external thing. It's dependent on our circumstances.
Yep.
Joy's internal. Joy's from within. And God has shown me that I can be sad, but still be joyful in him.
Yep.
You know, like we're, as a family at the minute, the last month of our world has been nuts. I should be bald. Honestly, I should be pulling my hair out.
I know, because last, you know, am I able to share something? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Last, I'd been asking Denise to do this, and she'd phoned me during the weekend that Denise last weekend lost her first biological grandchild. Her future daughter-in-law had a cyst in her ovary, and I was like, okay, maybe we'll not ask Denise to do today. Denise, sitting here, you're incredibly strong. So tell us how you find that strength.
Simple things. Family. I look at what I still have.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so grateful that I have my son. You know, so grateful. I'm grateful for the man that Jesus brought alongside me. You know, a more wonderful man I could never have dreamt of. You know, but also just praise. I bring it all to Jesus. All the good, all the bad. And it's easy. Let's be honest, when we're all on the mountaintop, sometimes we don't need him. We don't go to him as much. We don't read his word as often.
Yeah.
It's those difficulties and hardships and devastations that shape us as Christians,
Yeah.
and that make us strong. So whatever is going on in my world at the minute, and it's heartbreaking, I still go to him and thank him for the life that he has given us. And I always thank him that he has my baby. You know, he has her in his care. And I cannot love him enough and thank him enough that I know where she is. She's not a part of my past. She's very much a part. Anybody that talks to me, I tend to talk about Stacey very much still in the present tense, because she's still part of my present, but she's also a part of my future. You know, and yes, I still have summertime. For me is quite difficult because it's Stacey's birthday in August, and then what we call her glory day in September. But I just leave it with him. You know, I take it to him. And I suppose I've learned that it's okay to share with people. I was always a very independent, I'm the coper of the family. My nickname is Denise the Coper. Anything goes wrong in the family, go to Denise. Anything goes wrong in my friendship group, go to Denise. But through the death of Stacey, I suddenly couldn't cope. Yeah. But through that, you know, where I thought I was weak, actually that's where God's strength stepped in. Yeah. And he showed me that it's not a sign of weakness for me to be able to sit with a friend and say, I'm really struggling. Or, you know, life's rubbish at the minute. And I think we need to know that it's okay. And it's okay to have pain and to grieve. You know, whatever it is, everybody has something that's big in their world. You know, mine isn't any bigger than anybody else's. But you can still be joyful in God in the midst of that.
And I'm just going to say that. Um,
Yeah.
when Denise was sharing with Darren and I this story just over a year ago, we've heard a lot more of the details, but her daughter asked you to do something.
Well, Stacey was, starting to massively deteriorate at this stage, and we had friends who had come in from our church, and when they were leaving, they said, "Stacey, can we pray with you?" And my Stacey loved to be prayed with. Anybody, please, pray with me. When she was healthy, if there was a prayer line, she was in it. She always believed that God was going to heal her, and He did. Not in the way that we wanted, but He did. But I was really struggling with, yous out there that have children, you imagine watching your kids slowly but surely disappear. And I was just having a really difficult few days, and I was exhausted on every level. We didn't have any nurses or carers in to look after Stacey because she's my child, and that's what I did. But we'd nights where we'd no sleep, constantly with medications and various things. But so this couple asked, could they pray with her? And Stacey said yes. And at that moment, I stood up off her bed and went to walk out of her bedroom because I was just mad. I don't want to hear it. It's not making a difference. And as I walked around to the footboard of Stacey's bed, she lifted her finger and she said, "Mommy, don't you dare give up. Don't you dare give up. Prayer might not be changing what's directly going on with me, but it's going to change something. Don't give up." And I go back to that a lot.
Yeah.
When things are not going good, I go back to, "Mommy, don't give up."
Yeah.
And I don't. And part of that is I won't let her down, but I've also learnt that, prayer mightn't change exactly what you're praying for, but it'll do something.
Amen.
It'll do something.
Okay, and there's another scripture I want to read out, Revelation 21:4. It says, "And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, no sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away." And it's incredible that that's where Stacey got, that the tears were wiped. But for us guys, we're still here. We still feel pain. And when I opened this morning, if we could put the joy image back up again. When I opened this morning, I was I was so encouraged because I only saw that image last night, and Ram was not briefed with the scripture. And that was the thing that I had, Revelation 21, verse 4. And on the top of that slide, if you can see it there, it says Psalm 126:5. "Let those who plant with tears reap the harvest with joyful shouts." How incredible that scripture is exactly that. Let those who plant with tears reap the harvest with joyful shouts. And some of the things that we go through is the here and now. And we may be praying for something. We may be going through a circumstance. We may be really reaping with tears. And we get a joyful shout now. And the sum, that joyful shout, is when we get towards the end. And the sun at the end represented, and Matthew was sharing earlier on about looking to the sun, looking when Jesus is coming back like a blazing sun, we'll see him ready for us. And for some of the things that we have to carry through, I want to quote now, the band are going to come up and manage around us. You can stay here a wee second. I'm going to quote, there's a song that I've been listening to over the last wee while, and it was really kind of on my heart to minister to, and I want to read this quote. This is the writer of the song, for anyone knows, is an American singer-songwriter called Torrin Wells. We know him in the Ark church plant world because he just planted a church. He's just like us. He's running around trying to get people to set things up and do all of that's going on, but this is his quote about his song. "Joy in the morning is just a reminder that our problems have an expiration date, that even in your darkest season, the darkest time of your life, the sun will rise again. Now is not forever. There is still hope. And for me, being a believer, that informs my ultimate hope is the horizon of heaven." The song's going to start about everything happening for a reason, and sometimes we don't understand. And as Denise screamed, shouted to God to why. She still doesn't know why, but she has to look at God has our plan and our steps ordered. And she went on to share about at the grave about finding sometimes peace and grace. If we're struggling in our lives to have that peace, to have that grace, it sometimes needs us to let go of the way we wanted it to be, the way we think it should be, the way we think the prayer should be answered. Don't be consumed by the feelings of the uncertainty of the unknown. New beginnings and the importance of holding on till you see the sun. You may go through something today and it's tomorrow you're going to see that sun, you're going to see the light. For Stacey, she saw that light when she met Jesus, when she reached heaven. And our lives is all about a victory and all about a battle, about accepting Jesus and having that end goal of heaven. And the band are going to sing this song. I asked them to do this on Thursday when they put it together, the arrangements, very complicated chords, if you're into all this stuff, very complicated, and so gracefully. This team learnt this in an hour. So if something doesn't go according to plan, guys, just keep carrying it through. But please let this song minister to your heart, to where you're at. If you're struggling with something or you know someone's struggling, Denise is going to sit down. But I met Denise last year in a coffee shop after she'd been to this church 1 or 2 times. I have never met a woman so inspiring in all my entire life. Yeah, please give her a hand. Every time I meet her, she tells me a story. Because when her Stacey said to her, "Don't give up," that woman has walked in the last year that I've known her. I haven't gone beyond that. People through so many stories and so many journeys. One of her best friends died 3 weeks ago, or situation with family. I have never met a more inspiring woman, Denise. So thank you so much. Incredible to be able to share, especially for someone that doesn't like stand at the front and walking through that journey. But that is the level that everyone should be living at. We should be living our lives with the joy full, that no matter what we are going through, that we can reach out to others. Guys, I really want to see these seats filled because people need that joy. The world is saying so much different things and offering them so many other things and confusion and things. But the true joy that we have in Jesus, we want to really be encouraged this morning to reach out and guide. So the guys, you don't have to stand. The guys are going to sing this for us now.
Everything happens for a reason, but you don't know what you don't know. And you'll never have peace if you don't let go of tomorrow. 'Cause it ain't even faith till your plan falls apart, you still choose to follow. If it doesn't make sense right now, it will when it's over. And there will be joy in the morning. There will be joy in the morning. If it's not good, then it's not done. No, he's not done with it yet. And there will be joy in the morning. Giving in to your feelings is like drowning in the shallows. Oh, you gotta keep believing, even in the middle of the unknown. 'Cause grace will be there when you come to the end of your road and you let go. It may feel like you're going down now, the story isn't over. And there will be joy in the morning. There will be joy in the morning. If it's not good, then he's not done. No, he's not done with it yet. There will be joy in the morning. If it's not good, then he's not done. No, he's not done with it yet. No. If it's not good, then he's not done. No, he's not done with it yet. Hey. If it's not good, then he's not done. No, he's not done with it. be joy in the morning. There will be joy in the morning. If it's not good, then he's not done. No, he's not done with it yet. There will be joy in the morning. And there will be joy in the morning. There will be joy in the morning. If it's not good, then he's not done. No, he's not done with it yet. There will be joy in the morning.
There's new mercy every morning. Hold on till you see the sun. Sing through the night. Lift up your eyes. Joy is on the horizon. There's new mercy every morning. Hold on till you see the sun. Sing through the night. Lift up your eyes. Joy is on the horizon. There's new mercy every morning. Hold on till you see the sun. Sing through the night. Lift up your eyes. Joy is on the horizon. There's new mercy every morning. Hold on till you see the sun. Sing through the night. Lift up your eyes. Joy is on the horizon. Yes, joy is on the horizon. Oh, joy is on the horizon. Yes, joy is on the horizon. Oh, joy is on the horizon.
Oh, and
There
there
will be joy in the morning.
there will be joy in the morning. If it's not good, then he's not done. No, he's not done with it yet.
There will be joy in the morning. There will be joy in the morning. Yes, there will, yes, there will. In the morning. If it's not good, then it's not done. No, it's not done with it yet. There will be joy